Hi, my name is Mark and welcome to the channel. Today we're in London and we're going to try to visit as many fiber stores as we can get to reasonably in one day. So if you're interested in seeing the variety of fiber shops here in the city, then stick around. Our goal is to get to 6 different yarn shops today. They're fairly spread out across the city, so some take a lot more effort to get to than others, but we've made a plan, we've mapped it out, and hopefully we'll be able to show you as much variety as possible. So let's get going. So this is our first stop of the day. We are at Stash in Mount Pleasant. We took the Farringdon stop on the tube, and I think we're pretty close to the British Museum. From the map, when we were looking up opening times of these stores, it looked like Stash is a pretty big hub for Rowan. So I think we're gonna find a lot of Rowan fibers and magazines, patterns once we go in, but let's go check it out and see what they have. All right, we are inside Stash, and to give you a little more context, Stash bills themselves as a boutique family-run craft shop that shares their space with a digital art space. So when you see the signage outside and you go inside, you'll see it's kind of two businesses, two creative spaces in one. And as we walk along this wall, you'll see lots of Noro, lots of Rowan, lots of yarns that go with magazines and booklets, bookazines that get put out by yarn companies full of patterns and ideas for that specific yarn. So along the Rowan wall here, you'll see Rowan felted tweed, you'll see kid silk haze, the mohair, lots of different types of yarn from Rowan. I think this is a nice offering because the price point of these various yarns is pretty flexible. There are things that are a little bit more of high-end luxury fibers, and then fibers and blends that are much more reasonably reasonably priced if you're on a budget. And then there was also a pretty good selection of acrylics and acrylic blends if you're looking for things that are machine washable, things that are, I like to say, baby proof if you're giving them as gifts, etc. As for the notions, they had pretty standard notions, a lot of things from the company Clover, a lot of notions that you'll see in other shops around the world, and things you'll also see online. So no notions jumped out at me here, but that's all right. It seems like this store really serves its community by being a go-to shop for a variety of fiber crafting projects. So that's getting us started at Stash. And that's for Eliza. For our second shop of the day, we are headed to Knit with Attitude. We've just taken the overground to Stoke Newington, and we're about to walk a half mile or so to get to the shop. Knit with Attitude is part of the iKnit 7 yarn tour across the United Kingdom and Ireland. We're visiting a couple of those shops today, and we'll see some of the other shops on the remainder of our trip here through the United Kingdom and briefly through Dublin on the way home. All right, welcome to Knit with Attitude. First off, I just have to say, what a great name for a shop. I also really love their logo. You'll get another look at it here in the shop as we pan around. Knit with Attitude is located in Stoke Newington, and they specialize in ethical and sustainable yarn. So they have a lot of things here that are dyed naturally, dyed with plant matter, dyed in a sustainable way. So they know where this wool comes from, they know where the dyeing process is happening, and they take pride in offering that type of fiber with that type of history and path to their customer base. I was really, really pleased here with their selection of notions and bags. I mean, that's where we are now, looking at these bags. Gorgeous. And the bags in the bright colors, the blue, the yellow. A fun story is that when I was on the train from Scarborough to York, I was seated near a red-headed boy, and he asked me about my knitting. So then I asked him about his knitting, and we were chatting, and he mentioned that his sister makes bags and has a company. So I asked what the information was so I could look it up. And it's the company Hide and Hammer, which they carried here in Knit with Attitude. So I was really excited to see those bags out in the wild. I had been following her on Instagram to see some of what she makes, but I was blown away by how beautiful they are. So that's another example of something exciting, something locally produced and dreamed of by someone local in the community. So it was exciting to see the variety of fiber here, but I was really, really thrilled to see the great variety of notions and bags. I always like stuff that isn't necessarily yarn, so I love to see a yarn shop that has almost equal parts fiber and then other types of related merchandise, just to have a little more diversity. So that's our brief look at Knit with Attitude. All right, our third stop is Wild and Woolly. This is a pretty popular shop. I've seen them online before. They have a great social media presence, and this is also part of the iKnit 7 tour. So let's jump inside and see what kind of fiber, what notions, what books we'll find at Wild and Woolly. Welcome to Wild and Woolly. As we look around, I'll talk a little bit about the mission of this shop. It seems like it from a statement on their website that they really try to offer guidance, assurance, inspiration to everyone, any type of person that might come into this shop. So that could be someone who's just beginning, just starting to figure out how to knit, how to crochet, all the way up to people who are absolute pros at their fiber art. And I saw a little bit of that as we were here in the shop. We came right when they opened, and immediately there was a queue of people waiting to get some help, get some advice, and I overheard quite the range of problems or issues that people were seeking advice for. So that was exciting to see firsthand, the mission really at work. Something else I really appreciated about this shop was the decor. Everything from the needle gauge painted on the wall to the way they had needles displayed at the back of the shop. There were sketches, maps, patterns, all sorts of things layered in any of the blank spaces. So that was cool to see. It felt like I was looking inside the mind of a very creative person. So it had this nice workshop feel rather than a retail space. So I liked it. I liked being inside. I felt inspired. I could tell that there were creative vibes all around me, and I think that's just as effective for anyone who finds themselves in Wild and Woolly. Okay, we've made it to our fourth yarn shop of the day. This is Beautiful Knitters, and we are in Belgravia. We're in a much more residential area. The previous yarn shops we visited today were all part of a busier part of the city. So now we're somewhere a bit more quiet, more parks surrounding us. The sidewalks are a bit wider, and the vibe I'm getting already is that this might be a sort of boutique yarn shop. So I'm crossing my fingers for some one-of-a-kind notions, hopefully some beautiful keepsakes that we'll be able to pack and get home with us back to the States. We're right across from a Pizza Express, which we've been looking for a Pizza Express. So we're excited to go in, do a little shopping, and then maybe have some pizza across the street. Let's get inside and see what they have to offer. All right, here we are inside Beautiful Knitters. Beautiful Knitters has an interesting story. They started as an Instagram community. So the founder started a community on Instagram and was living in New York. And then eventually, after working in yarn shops in New York and London, wanted to create a brick and mortar store to be a hub for that community that had grown through Instagram. I mentioned that this neighborhood, Pimlico, is pretty quiet. So it was a really nice journey to get here, a nice stroll along parks, alongside beautiful shops and homes to find this yarn shop nestled in a row of other businesses. Immediately when we walked in, the yarn shop smelled beautiful. It smelled clean, and I don't know if it was floral or what, but it was a lovely smell, and it put us in the mindset to take our time and appreciate all of the things in store. So you'll see all sorts of notions, things that are not yarn, things that I love to find in yarn shops. They've got the redesigned bags. These were the collaborations with Stephen and Penelope, Stephen West's shop in Amsterdam. Canvas bags. The art in the whole store was very whimsical, and there were lovely prints on the walls. So I appreciated all of those details so much, because it didn't matter if I found yarn that I was in love with or not. As I took my time through the shop, I was delighted by these other details, like this pig. I can't get over it. Adorable. So as far as the yarn goes, they have a lot of hand-dyed, a lot of yarns sourced from the United Kingdom and Europe, a lot of beautiful colors, vibrant things that you might get excited to base a project around. I also enjoyed seeing a lot of the smaller notions like stitch markers, row counters, and I found a couple of things that will be take-home souvenirs for me. If you've been watching the channel, you'll know we bought a lot of wool in Shetland. So for now, we're looking for small things, maybe a few more notions to go home with us. So afterwards, we did make it to Pizza Express, just thought you should know. And then as we walked away from the shop, we saw this gorgeous creature. So that's that. So we've made it to our fifth and I think final yarn shop of the day. This is Loop. It's also pretty popular on social media, so you may have seen them before. We also got caught in some rain. So we're gonna jump inside and see what they carry and what we can cap off our day of window shopping and yarn shopping with here in London. Let's go. All right, we're capping our day off here at Loop, and from their website it reads, Loop is a gorgeous yarn shop stocking beautiful yarns and haberdashery sourced from all over the world. And they've just been voted the best independent knitting shop in London. So you'll see a huge range here: natural fibers, hand-dyed yarns, basics, patterns. They do workshops, and they also carry a lot of pieces made by independent designers. So as I walked through, I saw a lot of beautiful things that I would love to have, but maybe I can't afford right now, and that's okay. That's why I've mentioned a couple times in this video that we're window shopping today. If you were with me, you know how much wool I bought in Shetland, you'll know how much yarn I already have at home, and how many other various supplies I have. So I'm not in the market to just spend, 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 and I'm also not in the position to do that, meaning I don't have the money to do that. So window shopping was a nice way to really step back and look at what people carry, to appreciate the diversity of the merchandise in these shops, and to see things in person. So I saw some things that I don't have to have. Maybe they sound more exciting than they really are. And I also saw a lot of things that I would love to have one day. And that's nice to get a feel for. So all in all, a beautiful variety of things here. And again, we were window shopping, so we didn't walk away with anything, but it was great to see it in person. This shop is located in a nice area, lots of other shops, lots of vintage shops and markets nearby. So that was fun for us to do a little bit of perusing alongside this yarn adventure. And when we were caught in the rain under the tent, we ran into a very sweet new friend. So a beautiful way to end our day. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end of this video. I appreciate you choosing to spend a little bit of time with me today. It always blows my mind that people choose to spend the time with me, but I appreciate it either way. I hope that you found something in the video that you really enjoyed, something that made you excited or feel inspired, and if so, let me know in the comments. What were you most excited about to see today? If you're someone who lives in close proximity to London, then I'm sure you've been to some of these shops before, and maybe you'll want to visit some others that you haven't seen. Or maybe you're somebody who's looking forward to a trip here one day, or you're just enjoying traveling through YouTube, through this video. So in any of those cases, again, I appreciate you taking the trip with me. I think my overall favorite today has to be Beautiful Knitters. Going in, I really didn't know much about any of the stores. I had looked at their websites, I had looked up like the Google page that shows a little bit of information, a couple pictures to give you the context of what the store is like, but I didn't have a great idea of what I would like most as we were going to these different stores. But Ned and I both were so impressed when we went into the store. Smelled really good. There were beautiful things everywhere. Beautiful fiber, beautiful bags, notions, simple things like a print hanging on the wall or a canvas tote bag. Not everything was high end, but everything was beautifully detailed. So I think that was my favorite stop of the day, but I really enjoyed getting to see all of the yarn shops. I love yarn shops. If you've been here on the channel, then you've seen some of the other stores that I get to see local to me, or stores that I visit when I travel. So again, anything that really jumped out at you in today's video, things that you want to see more of in the future, please let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you to anyone who chooses to watch, chooses to interact with the video by liking, subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment. It's all really helpful to me here on YouTube. And of course, a huge thank you to anyone who chooses to be a supporter over on Patreon. All of you make this channel possible. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. To everyone here today, thanks for spending this time with me. As always, happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy crafting to you, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.